Hey there, YouTube. Well, this is my part 2 to my Smith & Wesson medallion inserts. Well, this is pretty much how they came out. So you can see there is a little bump here. It's nice and smooth all around. It's completely embedded in that finish. Okay, so pretty much like I said in the first video, I started off as some Smith & Wesson 39 grips, and I converted them to fit the 59 series. And then after that, I got the medallions on eBay, and then I had to make a hole here with a 3/4 inch bit. Then after the hole was made, I placed the medallion inside of it. You know, made the hole just deep enough for the medallion to pretty much be flush. It was a little deeper actually, but pretty much that's what I wanted. I wanted to go like that so I could, you know, fill it in like I did. And okay, after I made the hole, I sanded the whole thing down a little bit with some 220 grit. Did it all by hand, you know, just to get that the shiny off, so that the coating that I used would stick to it, which is this right here. This is what I used. It's meant for projects like wood and stuff like that. Pretty much anything you could think of. You could put a picture in the wood, and then it'll dry, and pretty much the picture will be, you know, inside the finish. It's pretty nice, pretty neat. Okay, so like I said, I made the hole with the 3/4 inch bit. Then what I did, I screwed it on to the piece of 2x4 here. You can see the screw holes. I screwed it on, and then I put it in the vise. So, you know, the black was sitting in the vise. And then I made the hole, and then both of them. After I did that, I covered this block right here. I covered it with aluminum. After I put the aluminum, then I placed it on the block again, and then I mixed the solution, which pretty much has two solutions. Mix them, and turns into this really thick syrup. And you have to mix evenly, half and half. So I was gonna use a little bit. I decided to use this little measuring cup, you know, meant for medicine. You know, I did 1 and 1 to make it even. Then actually, what I used was this spoon actually right here. So when it was sitting here, like so, just kind of dipped it in here, and like I said, it just turns into this really thick syrup. I just kind of, you know, went all around this area. You know, maybe I use a little bit more. I covered up maybe all this round area. And then what you do, you let it sit there. I just let it sit overnight, and then you know, in the morning it was dry, but it was still kind of sticky. So I let it sit the rest of that day. And it says you're supposed to let it cure for 72 hours. I'd maybe let it sit there for 24, and then with the first coat, I still felt a little bit of a how do you call it? A little bit of a indentation right here, like it had a sinkhole, you could say. It felt like a sinkhole. So what I did, I let it set there for the whole day. I mixed a little bit more, and I did the same thing, except I just mainly focus on this area right here, just this much. Okay, and then what I did afterwards on both coats, like I said, I let it sit here with the aluminum foil. I use this level. I just put it so, you know, I made sure it was completely level, because what happens when the syrup is sitting here, it just kind of drips, you know, the gravity just drips and kind of evens out by itself. So I guess it helps if you have it nice and leveled. Otherwise, if you have it tilted, it's just all gonna fall off, and then you're gonna have drip everywhere. And that's what the aluminum foil is. I used it to cover this, so whenever it dripped on this, it wouldn't stick to it. Otherwise, I would have had the grips completely stuck to the wood. And this was just what I did a little bit with the extra, just to show you what it does. It completely gives it a varnish shine. And it says here 1 thick coat equals how much? Let's see. Okay, yeah, 1 thick coat equals up to 50 coats of varnish. So, I mean, if you to work with varnish, and you know, you could really use a lot of coats before you get any of these results. And this pretty much cuts it all in half. Just mix evenly, pour, and let it level up by itself. You're good to go. So once I did that, like I said, I let it sit there again after the second coat for another 24 hours. Then, of course, there was, you know, some drip areas. And what I did, I re-sanded the whole thing again, made it nice and smooth, because of course I'm gonna have some bumps here along the edges. So I sanded everything by hand with 400 grit. Sanded it. Okay, and then I went to 1000 grit, the whole thing again, 1000, and then from 1000 I went all the way to 2000 with wet sand. I wet sanded it. That's what I did. Pretty much, you grab the 1000 grit sandpaper, dip it in a little bit of water, maybe a little cup. You have a little cup on the side. Dip it in the water, and it just sand the whole thing down. You know, you don't need too much water. Just dip it again and sand it again. And then what happens, you let it dry, you know, you wipe it down, let it dry, and it's nice and smooth, but it's dull. So after you do that, it's dull, so then you have to polish it to give it a shine again. And again, what I used was, let me see if I can find it, was this, which is lens gloss. I don't know if you can find this in your area. I actually bought this at my local swap meet. But you can find products similar to it at the like AutoZone or Pep Boys. And pretty much what it is it's a headlight glass restoration. You know, sometimes they get dull and yellow. So what you do is you know, you wet sand it like I said, and then you use this to polish it. So that's what I did. You know, after the 2000 grit, it was smooth, but it was, you know, dull, not shiny at all. And then that polish pretty much took care of it. I just kind of rubbed a little bit on it, and then I used my my Dremel with the polishing wheel, and just polished it. I did it maybe 2-3 times, and then even on the first one, it was already shiny again. So that's good. I mean, you could do as many coats if you want. You could try various grits, you know, depending how smooth and the texture you want. If you want it super smooth and you don't want to see any scratch marks, then, you know, you can maybe, you know, start with I don't know, 600, go to 1000, or 600, go to 800, and 1000, 1500, all the way to 2000, depending how much time you want to spend on it. I didn't want to spend too much time, so I just pretty much jumped. Okay, so now I'm gonna test them out, see how they look. Alright, empty and empty. And something I noticed, the medallion is actually tilted. Because, you know, I was working on them like this the whole time. The grips go on an angle, so it's tilted a little bit. But I'm really not much of an anal person like that, so I don't mind them being tilted. They're both tilted actually, because I pretty much did them the same. I mean, it's not bad. I don't mind. But if you're one of those people that like to be nice and perfect, then you know might consider marking the middle. Like I have these two little diamonds right here. I could have marked them so that they you know they level out evenly with the tilt. But I didn't think of that, to be honest. This is actually the first time I try them on. I mean I should have test fitted, but hey, that's fine. You know, I like it. I like the outcome. You know, nice and smooth. And you know, the shine is there. You know, I've sanded it down. I mean, the whole thing looks like came from the factory, really. I mean, even though I have different material all around this area, you can't even tell, because it just blends in really good. Well, let me just fasten them real quick and then show you how they look. Alright. Okay. So I might have missed a few steps here and there, little minor details, but you know, you guys pretty much get the idea what has to be done. I mean, it's nothing hard, really. Well, guys, let me know what you guys think. I think I did a decent job for not knowing what I was doing, to be honest. I had an idea in mind for a while, but never actually gave it a try. Alright guys, check you out.